Hi, my name is Sandra Wilson. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist who works with misophonia and extreme sound sensitivity in both adults and children. Now today's question is misophonia purely neurological? Is it a neurological disorder? And is there any room for debate on this? So in simple terms, much of the research does seem to indicate that misophonia involves differences in how the brain processes sound and emotion. So trigger sounds seem to activate the auditory cortex and the emotional regulation areas. So in that sense, yes, the emotion you feel is certainly activated when you hear certain noises, as you will know. And the brain also has this feature, it's called the salient network, and that decides what is important and threatening, and that might wrongly tag certain everyday sounds as being dangerous to you, causing this automatic fight or flight response. Now what this means practically is that the reaction you feel is real, it is fast, it is not a choice, and it's not just you being oversensitive or intolerant. And because the brain is what we call plastic, as in neuroplasticity, the nervous system can learn to respond differently, even if the wiring does have a neurological basis. So neurological involvement does not mean that nothing can help. Many people do successfully, especially in my clinic, reduce the intensity and the distress through approaches that calm and retrain the nervous system rather than forcing yourself to tolerate those sounds. And in this sense, I think it's pretty sensible to say that yes, there is something that can be done without saying that there is a cure. Okay, so no type of therapy is ever going to be a cure. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly go through different types of sound sensitivity as well in this video. So as I said, I work with misophonia, and that is a condition triggered by specific sounds. And the reaction is emotional and physiological, meaning that you feel it in your mind and body. And loudness is not the issue, it's often the sound itself. It could be a quiet sound, and the sounds tend to be from other people rather than neutral sources. So your body reacts before you can think. There's another condition I see a lot in my clinic called hyperacusis, which relates to sensitivity of volume. So sounds are experienced as physically painful or very overwhelming, and it's less about the emotional meaning attached to who or what makes the sound. It's often linked to an injury to the hearing, your ear, or sometimes it's linked to migraine and tinnitus. And again, I work with those conditions too in my clinic, especially tinnitus. So everything just feels too loud. And finally, there is autism-related sensitivity, so sensory processing differences across multiple senses. So if you yourself are autistic or you have a child who is autistic, they may be sensitive to other stimuli, not just sounds or noise. And sounds may feel chaotic or unpredictable or intrusive. And these often cause a lot of distress from overload, overstimulation, rather than specific emotional triggers. So really it's about the system, the nervous system simply cannot filter the input. So trauma and stress and early environments can also amplify misophonia, and often this is the point of debate where misophonia often sits at the crossroads of neurology and nervous system learning. So common contributing factors include growing up around unpredictability, unpredictable noise or unpredictable change. So family arguments, lots of shouting, thin walls, no privacy, being forced to move or I don't know, like do things you don't really want to do when you're a child, but obviously you have no choice. So you feel trapped or powerless and unable to escape. And maybe it's a result of long-term chronic stress, burnout or prolonged anxiety. So that comes with a high level of people-pleasing and emotional suppression. So what tends to happen in the brain as a result of, I guess, these trauma-type situations is the nervous system learns sound equals danger. So the body reacts before logic or reasoning, and over time the reaction just becomes faster and stronger. And it's not a conscious memory, it's more that your nervous system has learned to respond in this way. So many of my clients say, well, I don't even really notice feeling anxious. It just feels like I explode inside. And that is a defensive reflex, not a character flaw. So what can help? In fact, what I'll start off with what really doesn't seem to help in my experience. So what usually does not help is just to say, oh, you just need to tolerate it. Forcing exposure without regulation, shaming reactions or trying to logic them away. So by saying, oh, I shouldn't be like this, I should just be like everybody else, or promising a cure. So if anybody has ever said, yes, I can cure misophonia, I'd be checking out their credentials. So what does tend to help is nervous system regulation, teaching your body how to downshift from a threat, building safety before working with triggers, and using the breath, other grounding techniques to orient your nervous system to feel safer, and changing the way the brain associates sound, not by erasing them, but just by reducing threat tagging, as I call it, working a lot with anticipatory anxiety, control and boundaries. And though, of course, this is where hypnotherapy comes in. Hypnotherapy does encompass a lot of this type of work, which is why often it can be really successful in helping you to just reduce the level of reactivity in your nervous system rather than curing misophonia. And number 4 is emotional resourcing. So allowing yourself to feel anger that was never allowed, ensuring that you have the confidence to put boundaries in place, reclaiming choice and decision making for yourself, and showing yourself some compassion too, understanding why this has developed. It's not your fault. You did not choose this. There's nothing actually wrong with you, and creating realistic expectations. So if misophonia were purely neurological and fixed, you would be probably getting triggered by more than just 1 or 2 people. Why is it that the sound of your partner snoring triggers you so desperately, and yet when your dog does it, it's cute? So I am going to leave it there. I don't want the video to roll on too long. What I will say is I have made a lovely guided relaxation, a beautifully relaxing hypnotic audio just for you. It is free, and I have put the link in the description of this video, so if you want to claim it, please click the link. It will take you to my website, to the place where you can enter your email address. And just to say, I do not use email addresses for marketing. There's a little bit more about that on my website, so you're not going to get bombarded with a gazillion emails from me. Okay, so I really would love for you to claim this guided relaxation, and I will be back with more content another day. Bye for now.